There is a knitter or crocheter out there right now who is working on a sweater. They're knitting up the sweater. They made the body. They've crocheted the sleeves. Maybe they've even put the button bands on and the buttons. And guess what? It doesn't actually fit. Now, you might be thinking the problem is that you are a bad sweater maker. You are awful at following instructions. You are just no good at making sweaters. When in reality, it's not that you are bad at making sweaters. It's just that you don't have all the foundational tools and skills to make a sweater. For example, I took this sweater, the Otaheite Cardigan that's featured in my book, Cardigans For Everybody, and I completely transformed it into this summer tee. It's made out of a cotton linen. It has lace. It has this fun detail on the back. It's 2 colors, where this is one yarn from the big box store. This is more expensive, more luxurious yarn from the yarn store in a different weight of yarn. And the thing that I want to talk about is that you are not bad at making sweaters. You can follow the instructions like a pro. And sometimes that could be the problem. You're following the instructions too closely. You're making it exact. But what I've learned over the years is that sweater making starts with the swatch. You need to make a swatch. And I don't just mean a little tiny thing that you're like, oh, I'm going to put 5 stitches on the needles and knit 4 rows. I mean a substantial swatch, 5 by 5, 6 by 6. And the reason you want to have your swatch be bigger than a 4 by 4 is when you're measuring, you want to measure at different points off your swatch. You want to make sure that the number you're getting is consistent across. So if I'm measuring across my swatch here and I get a number then from what I'm measuring here versus down here, I'm going to keep measuring until I have the same stitch count multiple points. The other thing is, because I was changing up the pattern to include this stitch pattern on the back, guess what? I needed to make a swatch for that stitch pattern too. I needed to know how much or how wide this back panel will be. I needed to know how it would fit, how it would drape, and then also to figure out how much of that yarn I would actually need. Okay? So if you are making a sweater and you're just like, I'm messing it up, I'm not really good at making sweaters, start with a swatch and make the swatch big enough. Make a substantial swatch that you can use. You could use for not just a gauge, but to figure out how much yarn you'll need. And if that's something that you are just like, I need to learn how to swatch properly, I need to figure out how to use my swatch to calculate how much yarn I'm going to need if I'm changing up the yarn from the original pattern or adjusting the pattern or making substitutions and things like that. If you need to figure out how all that works, I have a book called Cardigans For Everybody. I walk you through the steps, but I also have a masterclass that goes with that book. And the masterclass includes videos. It includes me showing you different techniques, different skills. One of the things that someone commented on that watched the most recent video that I uploaded to the masterclass, and that's the thing, with the masterclass, I'm constantly adding more information. Someone who watched the most recent video responded that she's learned so much just from that 20-minute video. And one of the things that I taught in that video is why you really need to measure your swatch before and after you block. And I worked out in the math how your sweater could be supposed to be a 40-inch chest or whatever the measurement is, but because you did not block your swatch and did not measure your gauge before and after to see how the fabric changed, how when you actually finish your sweater, it's gonna not fit at all. And I show you how Maybe if you're a smaller body, that difference might not be noticeable, but as you get larger, like a 40-inch, 60-inch, 72-inch bust size, you're gonna notice a significant difference if your gauge is off by like a quarter of an inch, because a quarter of an inch over 70 inches is a lot of inches. So I walk you through that. I show you all the math because I want you to understand it's not enough to just pick the exact pattern and the yarn called for in the pattern and the needle and the hooks and all that stuff. It's not enough to follow the pattern exactly. You have to be able to figure out how you knit, how you crochet. Are you a tight knitter, loose crocheter? And figure out how your gauge is going to work with that yarn and those needles and those hooks, and figure out exactly how do I need to modify the pattern, how do I need to change up my stitch, how do I need to change up the hook and needle and yarn combination to achieve the fit that I want. Because at the end of the day, it's not enough to follow a pattern exactly as written. It's more important that you get the fit that you want. And with my book and the masterclass, I want to encourage you. I want to empower you. I want you to make any sweater you want and always have it fit. And that's how I feel about sweaters. They should always fit. And if you follow the simple techniques that I lay out in the book and the masterclass, you will always make sweaters that fit you perfectly. Now, if you need support or anything else, please reach out. I love to hear from you. I love to work with you. I love to share more of my knowledge. If you don't already have the book and the masterclass, I'm dropping a link below. Go ahead, get your copy, watch the videos, and reach out to me. That's the bonus. When you are in that masterclass, you have more access to me. Go ahead, get the book, get the masterclass, and I cannot wait to see all that you do. Bye for now.